So question 1 for the 2024 WASSCE is asking, what are chromosomes? Now, chromosomes are thread-like structures located in the nucleus of cells that carry genetic information. Yes. Now, looking at this first question, if you follow my videos on most likely topics that you are supposed to expect in your WASSCE, genetic variation, it's here. The next question says, state the uses of DNA testing in humans. So DNA testing is used for paternity testing, and then forensic investigation, and as well as genetic disorder diagnosis. Now the B says, state three noble gases present in air. So in air we have argon, we have neon, and we also have helium. The quantity is very small in air. Then the II says, explain briefly why noble gases are unreactive under normal conditions. They are unreactive because they have a complete valence electron shell, so they don't have extra electrons to react. They don't have extra electrons to react, or for other atoms to react to it. Then the C says, explain post-harvest loss as used in crop production. So post-harvest loss refers to the degradation of crops after harvesting them before reaching the consumers. Yes. So for example, a farmer can harvest crops and then keep it in a storage facility for long. If the storage facility is not well managed, pests or rodents can get in and then destroy them. State three precautions farmers take to minimize post-harvest losses of cereals in Ghana. So 1, you're supposed to properly dry them, because if you don't dry them well, mold can form on them. 2, store in moisture-proof containers, definitely. So when there's moisture there, these fungi can grow on them. And also use of pesticide just to control them once they get there. The next one says, what is an inductor in electronics? So an inductor is a passive electrical component. It's an electrical component, and it stores energy in a magnetic field. Then the next one says, state three applications of solar energy in everyday life. Oh, so they are using solar cookers. That's one. They're also using solar heaters. They are also using solar panels. For the second question says, state 2 examples each of the following types of crops cultivated in Ghana. So examples of stem tubers. We have potato, we have yam. Then root tubers. We have cassava, we have sweet potato. Then legumes, we have beans and then peas. Now the stem tuber simply means that the tuber grows on the stem. And for the roots, it means that the tuber grows on the roots. Next one says, explain saponification. Saponification is a chemical process of making soap from fats or oils and alkali. Now, this topic is also one topic that I always mention, organic chemistry. And the next one says, state the observation that could be made when brine is added to the product of saponification. So when brine is added to the product of saponification, the soap precipitates out of the solution. Then the C says, what's the reflex action? Reflex action is an automatic or rapid response to stimulus. So by the help of the spinal cord. Now, 3 examples of reflex actions. We have knee jerk, blinking, and immediately, withdrawing your hand or withdrawing a part of your body from heat. So withdrawal from heat, basically. Next one says, state the law of conservation of energy. The law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to another. Now, the next question, it has to do with calculation. I've always told you that expect calculation, expect it. So the cement of mass, so the mass is 25 kilogram. It's placed at a height of 10 meters. above the ground and pushed to fall, calculate the velocity of the block before it touches the ground. So velocity, we don't know, but we've been given the acceleration due to gravity. Now this question, this is a formula you need. V squared equals u squared plus 2g h. This is the third formula in linear motion. The first one is v equals u plus gt. Now sometimes this addition sign is made negative. Why is it negative? It's made negative when the object is going upward. It means opposite acceleration due to gravity. Now we are told in a question that the object is falling. Since it's falling, it's moving in the direction of gravity. So this is supposed to be positive. Great. So this is the formula we are using. Now v represents final velocity, u represents initial velocity, g represents acceleration due to gravity, h represents the height. Now the question is asking us to find the velocity, calculate the velocity of the block just before it touches the ground. So this is what you have been asked to find. Yes. Now we are told that a cement block of mass is placed at a height of 10 meters above the ground and is pushed to fall. So it means that the initial velocity is 0. So if an object is on a surface, you have to push it before it falls. It means that the initial velocity is 0. So take note. Questions like this require a lot of thinking before you start trying to solve them. So this is how the formula is going to look like. Since this is 0, the formula is now going to be v squared equals 2gh. So your v squared equals 2 times 10, which is acceleration due to gravity, times the height, which is 10. You are going to have v equals square root of 200. Now square root of 200 will give you 14.142 meters per second. Why meters per second? Meters per second because you are working, you're finding velocity. So that is it. The next question says, state 3 causes of genetic variation in human population. Another question on genetics and variation. So the causes of genetic variation includes mutation, sexual reproduction, and then gene flow. The next question says, give 2 ways in which genetic variation affects organisms. So one, it leads to biodiversity, and also it increases survival chances in changing environments. So it leads to biodiversity and then increases survival chances in changing environments. The next question is asking us to explain the term trade winds and then storm. So trade winds are steady, predictable winds blowing from the east to the west near the equator. So winds that blow from the east to the west near the equator. And a storm is a violent disturbance. So a storm just represents strong winds and then precipitation. The next question also says a storm moves with a speed of 2.0 times 10 exponent 2. Okay, so this is like 200. This is 200 meters per second. Anything that has to do with calculation is something you should give attention to once you are going to do integrated science. So 200 meters per second. A storm moves with a speed of 200 meters per second. It blows for 30 minutes at a constant speed. So the time is 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So how far means the distance. How far? So WASSCE has left the era of asking questions directly to you. Realize that the questions are not direct. You need to really think. So velocity equals distance over time. Now this time here, which is in minutes, You see, looking at this meter per second, you can't work in minutes. You have to convert this to seconds. Okay, so how do you convert 30 minutes to seconds? You have to multiply, we say that 60 seconds equals 1 minute. So in order to be able to get this, if 60 seconds equals 1 minute, 30 minutes equals what? So with this, if more, let's divide. So 30 over 1 times 60. So you're going to end up with 1800 seconds. So 1800, right? So we are finding distance. In order to get a distance, distance will be equal to velocity times time. So equals 200 meters per second times 1800, 1800. When you do your multiplication right, you are going to have 36. Why 36? 2 times 18 is 36 times 10 exponent 4 times 10 exponent 4 meters. Yes, meters. So that is it with question II. The next question says, what are radioisotopes? Okay, so radioisotopes are unstable isotopes that release radiation as a result of decay. State 3 use of radioisotopes. So they are used in medical imaging, also used in cancer treatment like radiotherapy, and it's also used in carbon dating in archaeology for determining the age of ancient objects. So the next question says, 4 signs that a cow exhibits just before parturition. An organic functional group is a group of atoms within molecules that are responsible for characteristic chemical reactions of those molecules. So the next question says, name the functional group of the following organic compounds. I always say this in my videos that don't always expect to be asked for naming of a certain organic compound because of how the name is. It's very interesting. Always know the functional group and then know the characteristic of the functional group. For this question, they didn't ask for the characteristic. They're most likely to ask for that. So looking at this one, the functional group over here is the COOH. That is the carboxyl group. That's for the first one. So it is H. So this, I'm just rewriting this here. This is the functional group. Then for the next one, the functional group is hydroxyl. How do I know it's hydroxyl? Now, anytime you have group of atoms in brackets, it's most likely to be the functional group. So take note of that. So for this is the hydroxyl group, or we say alkano. So it's the OH. Then for this one, this is a hydrocarbon. So hydrocarbon, you're either thinking of alkene or alkyne. Let's look at the total number of carbon. We have C3. Then the hydrogen we have, let me start all over again. So the carbon is 3, so we have C3. And the hydrogen we have 3, 4, 6. So C3H6. Now, which one has, so which formula do you think this will fall under? Under the hydrocarbons. CnH2n. Yes. So N represents the number of carbon. 2 times 3 is 6. So alkenes have this formula. So this is an alkene. So that's the answer. Alkene. Double bond. The next question says, state 2 methods farmers adopt to control rodents on a farm. Now, they use traps and they also use rodenticide. Then the II says, give one way in which the following factors is of importance when selecting a site for lettuce cultivation. So type of soil. The type of soil will help you to know if the soil is well drained, and also the fertility of the soil. So that's the importance. Those are the 2 importance. And accessibility to the site. So thinking of accessibility to the site, if it's possible to harvest harvest and then transport and also maintenance of the site. And effects of poor personal hygiene, we have increased risk of infection, body odor, and then social isolation. The next one is, what is an electromagnet? It's a type of magnet in which the magnetic field is produced by an electric current. Yes, and then the uses of electromagnet in everyday life. It's used in electrical motors. It's also used in cranes to lift heavy metallic objects. And it's used in the MRI machines that are used in hospitals. Then the question 5a, what's a Buddha house? In poultry, a Buddha house is a heated shelter for raising young poultry, like the chicks. Then 3 causes of cannibalism: overcrowding, when animals are overcrowded, when the animals are stressed, and when there are nutritional deficiencies, they begin to peck each other. The next one says, what's a rainbow? A rainbow is a meteorological phenomena that's caused by reflection, refraction, and the dispersion of light in water droplets. So after rainfall, or in places where you have, let's say, a waterfall, that's where you're most likely to see a rainbow. And explain briefly how it is formed. So it is formed when sunlight passes through water droplets, and then the light bends, and then it splits into the different colors. We say ROY, JBIV. So when we see that, in the sky, we see it's a rainbow. And the next question says, name 2 types of interaction that exist in the ecosystem. So this topic, ecosystems, you should always look for it. So we have predation, it's an interaction, and we also have symbiosis. The next question says, state 3 ways by which energy could be lost in a food chain. Energy could be lost in a food chain as a result of movement and then growth, and also heat loss through respiration, and then decomposition of organic matter. The next one says, what's a solvent? A solvent is a substance that dissolves a solid, resulting in a solution. Very simple. Then the next question, mole concepts. These are topics I've mentioned. They are always there in the WASSCE. So a solution was prepared dissolving 20 grams of sodium hydroxide in 50 cm³ distilled water. Calculate the concentration. So here we have to calculate. So C equals N over V. Good. So we are looking at something in mole per dm³. Yes. But we have mass and we have our volume. Now, in mole concept, volume is measured in dm³. Now, to convert 500 cm³ to dm³ is 500 over 1000. So you're going to end up with 0.5. That's what you're going to work with. You're going to work with the dm³, so 0.5. Now, our mass is in grams, so great. Now, looking through, we have our volume. So volume, check. What we need now is our amount of substance, which is in moles. So N equals small m over capital M. What do I mean by small m? Mass over molar mass. So the mass from the question is 20. Now the molar mass of sodium hydroxide, what we need to do is we need to find the molar mass of sodium hydroxide. So 23 for the sodium plus the oxygen is what, 16, plus hydrogen is 1. So 20 over, now when you add everything, you're going to get 40. So after cancelling out, you have 0.5 moles. So putting everything here, 0.5 moles over the volume is also 0.5. So you're going to end up with 1 mole per dm³. That's the answer, 1 mole per dm³. Wow. Then the number 6, we are asked to explain what static electricity. Explain how static electricity is produced. So static electricity is produced by the friction between 2 different materials, transferring electrons. So let's say a pen and then the hair, rubbing them together and transfer of electrons. Number 6, II, is asking, Name two other sources of electrical power generation apart from hydro and thermal. Okay, so we have solar. We also have wind. Then the B says name three glands associated with the alimentary canal of humans. So a gland produces some sort of liquid. So we have the salivary gland, produces saliva, the liver, which produces bile, and then the pancreas, which produces the pancreatic juice. List the substance secreted by each of them. Okay, so I already mentioned them. So I said salivary gland produces saliva, liver produces bile, pancreas produces pancreatic juice. Then the next one says name one use of the following gases. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is used as fuel in cells. Then ammonia. Ammonia is used as fertilizer. So write the balanced equation for ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride is NH4Cl plus calcium hydroxide CaOH. Now you have 2 here because the valency of calcium is 2. The product you are going to have CaCl2 plus NH3 plus water. Now this is not balanced. In order to balance it, you put your 2 here, put your 2 here, and you also put 2 here as well. Now this is balanced. So we move to the next question. So in this question, we are asked to name the main nutrient that is responsible for each of the following processes. So the nutrient that is responsible for root and tuber development. So the nutrient responsible for this is phosphorus. Chlorophyll formation is magnesium. Development of strong stem is potassium. Growth is nitrogen, and then food development is potassium.